Today I'm sharing a very powerful manifestation technique with you to help you achieve your goals so much faster by collapsing time. My intention for you today is that you get to a point where you know that you can achieve your goals very, very quickly. My name is Kath Kyle and I lead the Hustle Less, Manifest More movement. I help conscious creators and change makers manifest success through my dream business coaching, courses, and club. And you can get details of all of those in the links surrounding this content. So let's get started. Why normal goal setting rarely works. I personally used to be a massive fan of goal setting. I even wrote a book about it because I am a natural achiever. I really like to achieve things. I like to set goals. I like to achieve goals. I like to create to-do lists. I like to check things off. I like to feel productive. I am that kind of person. But unfortunately, most of the goals that I used to set before I discovered this technique, they rarely achieved, they rarely manifested. And I'm not sure whether you've ever been there yourself, but typical goal setting processes, you might do them on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, and then you write down what you want to achieve by the end of the year. I want to make 100 grand in my business by the end of the year. That is my achievement. And how many times did I write down that kind of goal where I would write down a revenue amount of money and then give myself a year to complete it. And by the end of the year, I'd feel like a failure and I'd be writing down the same goal for the next year and the next year and the next year. And it's really heartbreaking that we do this to ourselves when there is an easier way. So why goal setting doesn't actually work is because when you write down your goal on a piece of paper and you give yourself a certain period of time to achieve it, like you say, for example, within 1 year, in 1 year, I want to have made 100 grand. You are then putting yourself into a state of waiting. You are now planning to wait for a whole year before your goal has been realized. So you are getting into the state of waiting. You are assuming a state of waiting. You are believing that you are waiting and you are visualizing waiting. You are imagining waiting, and therefore all you are getting is constant waiting. You never get achievement. So this is what we're going to change by collapsing time. So what does it mean to collapse time? So as humans, when we think of ourselves being humans, we feel like we are limited by time and space. We feel like when we want to achieve something, we have to wait a certain amount of time. Time has to pass before we can achieve something, and we are limited by space, which means that we have to physically move into a particular space by taking action to get into that new space. So if I want to manifest, say, 100 grand, and I feel like the only way to do that is to create 100 videos, then I have to take the action of creating those 100 videos before I can realize my goal of making 100 grand, because I don't know how to make 100 grand. I can't physically force people to give me 100 grand. All I can do is guess how that 100 grand is going to pop into my business. And my best guess is that I'm going to put out these videos which people are going to watch, and then they're going to come and buy my things. So I'm just guessing as to what action I need to take. So that is being limited by space, because I am taking action, which means that I am creating all of these videos so that I can move into the new space. So I have to work hard and I have to wait a long time to achieve my goals. Now, most people think that attaching a goal to a manifestation isn't a good thing, and because it automatically puts you into this state of waiting. And I disagree with this, because I do think that you can manifest things by attaching a deadline to it, but only if you go through the process of collapsing time so that you end up actually getting what you want by that deadline. So whether you achieve it now or by a deadline, you have to go through the process of collapsing time to do it. So what does it actually mean to collapse time? Well, a lot of people think that we are limited humans who have to be in a space and time to manifest something, to achieve something. But thankfully, we're also spiritual beings. And as spiritual beings, we have actually been given a lot of power over our own life. We have been given the ultimate power to choose what we want for our own life. And most people don't realize how powerful they actually are as a conscious creator. So to collapse time, this means that you use your imagination. All the power comes from your imagination. If you can imagine yourself already having what you want, this is how you bring it into your reality, by imagining that you already are there. You've already achieved your goal. So that's what it means to collapse time. You collapse time by imagining that you're already there. There is no delay. There is no time delay. There's no waiting. There's no wondering. It already has existed. It already exists in your own imagination. It's already done. So what are the benefits of collapsing time? So this probably goes without saying, but obviously there can be less waiting, because when you collapse time, you're not putting yourself in a state of waiting, so you're not constantly waiting. But does that mean that you can manifest things immediately when you collapse time? Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. So some manifestations can appear immediately, although they're not actually immediate, because there might be seconds before you see your manifestation, and those seconds still are a delay, but it does feel like an immediate manifestation if there's only a few seconds between you imagining something and it appearing in your reality. So yes, it can appear to be immediate, but most of the time there is still a delay. But thankfully, it's not going to be an indefinite period of waiting. You know that it's going to actually happen. And the reason why we have this period of waiting is because we assume that our manifestations have to come in a very natural way. And for things to come in a natural way, it means that you don't just see money falling from the sky, because that wouldn't be natural in your reality. What would be natural would be that somebody would give you money. So that somebody has to have an idea planted in their mind, and they have to take action, and they have to physically go and give you the money. So it can be quick, but it does rely a lot of the time on other people fulfilling our manifestations. And that's what causes the time delay, is that we assume it has to be a natural manifestation. So thankfully, there is less waiting, and the period of time between you imagining your manifestation and it actually manifesting is called the automatic unfolding. So these are events that happen automatically when you know that you have created what you want in your imagination. So when somebody gets an idea, that is automatic. That happens automatically. Nobody needs to be physically forcing anybody or encouraging anyone. That will just all happen. And that includes actions that you need to take. So it's actions for other people and for you. These actions are all automatic. So you don't have to worry about what actions you need to take, because you will take them automatically to fulfill your own manifestation. Another benefit of collapsing time is that there is no wasted action. So during this automatic unfolding, the actions that you take are called inevitable action. Inevitable action means it has to happen. You are compelled to take these actions. Have you ever done something and you've thought, I have no idea why I did that. That was out of character. I didn't plan to do that today. I just suddenly felt like I just had to go and do that. I had to get out my phone. I had to send somebody a text message. I had to buy something. I wasn't planning on any of this. That's because it was automatic, based on inevitable action to fulfill your own manifestations based on your own belief systems. And if you don't create your own belief systems, then somebody else will be taking inevitable action and automatic action based on your actions. So that's why we need to decide exactly what we want. So now that we know the benefits of collapsing time, how do we actually do it? So this is how you collapse time. You collapse time by creating something called a reverse memory. A reverse memory, the reason why it's reversed is because the memory is created in your mind before the event has actually physically been brought to life in the physical world, before the event has occurred in the 3D world. So we create a reverse memory in our brains by getting into a relaxed state where you're not having 1,000,001 other thoughts competing with your new imaginal scene. And what you do is you imagine yourself, project yourself into the future sometime after your goal has already been achieved. So this could be like a month after, even a year after your goal has been achieved. So say your goal was to make 100 grand in a year. You don't have to wait a year to make that 100 grand. Say you want to make that 100 grand now, today. Project forward a year from now after having made that 100 grand, and then imagine how you are going to be feeling. So where will you be? Imagine yourself maybe somewhere that you would have to have paid to get there. So you would have had to have money to get there. For example, you might be on vacation. You might be somewhere that you would have had to use some of that 100 grand to get there. So you might be on the beach, on a luxurious vacation. What can you see around you? Maybe the palm trees, the waves. Are your family there with you? Are your friends there? Who are you with? What are you doing? Are you lying in a hammock? Are you sipping cocktails on a bench? What are you actually doing? What are you hearing? Now, hearing, yes, you can bring the sound of the waves, the sound of nature, the sound of your kids playing on the beach into the reverse memory. But what is more powerful is to bring a conversation into the reverse memory. So imagine that you are having a conversation with your partner or with a friend, and you are recapping your goal achievement with them. So you could say something like, wow, isn't it amazing that I made that 100 grand and that enabled us to come on this luxurious vacation? And then they would confirm it back to you and they would say something like, I know you did amazingly well. Congratulations with all your success. Thank you so much for enabling us to do this together, or something like that. So it wants to be a very short conversation, something that you can loop over and over again in your mind. Then what will you be feeling? What has actually changed in the way you feel about yourself since you achieved your goal? Do you feel more confident as a person? Do you feel a sense of fulfillment, a sense of achievement? Are you really proud of yourself? Do you carry yourself better? Do you stand up straight, sit up straight, walk taller, knowing that you are a massive goal achiever now? You are a successful person. How does that make you feel? And it's not necessarily going to make you feel emotional. You might have some emotions coming into the scene, but we don't have to force emotion to be able to manifest what we want. This is about feeling how you would feel naturally. So how would you naturally feel if you had have reached your goal? So what would you have felt? Now, this process of creating a reverse memory, this is the basis of a lot of my teachings. So I have created a guide that walks you through this process in detail and gives you some more examples. So if you want to get my free guide on reverse memories, go to kathkyle.com/reverse memories and get that there. And there's also a link to that surrounding this content piece as well. So now that you know how to collapse time, let's look at some mistakes that people make when they feel like they've gone through this process of creating a reverse memory, but yet they still haven't manifested what they want. So what are the problems? What's the mistakes that they've made? So the first mistake that somebody could have made is that despite creating this reverse memory, they still don't believe it to be real. And that's because their dominating belief system, their opposing belief system, is much stronger still. So as they're going through their day, they keep on noticing the evidence that they haven't made any money. They still haven't made any money. So that reverse memory, it wasn't true. That was a false memory, and they're going to push it away, never bother with that again. So that is a big mistake that people make, is they allow their current reality and their current belief system to dominate this new memory that they have made. The next mistake that people make is that they don't actually want the goal now. And this might seem a bit strange to you because you, especially somebody like me who's a big goal achiever, but even I can understand this, is that people say they want to achieve something, but in reality, they don't. So let's use the example of creating a business that has made 100 grand a year. People might say, oh, this sounds like a fantastic goal. I definitely want to have this goal. But then every time they think about having that 100 grand, they start thinking about negative associations with achieving that goal. So they keep pushing it away. So for example, they might be thinking, well, if I make 100 grand, then that means that I am going to have to take on 100 coaching clients a month, because I've done the calculations, and how can I possibly make this amount of money if I don't take on a massive amount of coaching clients? Because it logically doesn't make sense. So therefore, they can't figure out a way to resolve this in their brain. So they think to themselves, well, I'm actually okay just making 10 grand a year, because that means that I still have my free time and I'm not going to burn myself out, and I can still have a work-life balance and enjoy my life. I don't really want the 100 grand. It's going to mean that I'm going to burn out, and work is going to overtake everything in my life. So that is a massive problem when it comes to achieving goals. You have to actually want it. So that leads us to the next point. How can you be confident enough to actually achieve your goals right now? Say, for example, I said to you, I am going to give you a business that generates 100 grand today, and it's yours to keep. And all you have to do is run the business. What would you think? Would you start getting nervous? I don't know what to do. I don't feel successful. I don't feel confident. I've never ran a business before. I don't know what to say to these customers. They're not going to be used to me. They don't know what I'm going to say. They don't know how I'm going to act. I don't have any systems in place. I don't have a team to support me. Would you feel completely overwhelmed at that prospect? And if you do, then these are things that you have to work out in your own mind before you can feel confident enough to achieving your big goals right now. So if you feel daunted by achieving the big goals that I call transformers, then I encourage you to start by manifesting some small things that I call boosters first, so that you get confident in your manifestation and that you know that you could progress from small manifestations to big manifestations. So say, for example, you want to start with something small. You could manifest one sale today, just one sale, and then it boosts your confidence in your power as a conscious creator, but also it gives you the confidence to actually deal with the goal achievement in the physical reality. It gives you the confidence to be the business owner who processes that goal achievement. So do you have a client? Does that mean you have to have a client? Does that mean that you need to create a product instead that is going to be sold on autopilot to free up your time? So these things will really get your brain ticking over about the kind of business that you want to create when you start by manifesting small things. So you don't have to jump to the big transformer. You can manifest in stages. A lot of people say you have to manifest the end result, but the end result is completely up to you. The end result can be something small to start with. Then you develop a new end result here. Then another end result. Then next week you're going to manifest 5 sales. The next week you're going to manifest 10 sales. So you can ease into it and grow your confidence as you go. So another thing that will boost your confidence when it comes to manifesting big things is that you can set your own rules. So you might have assumed that your current business model is the business model that you need to continue with in the future. So just say you are a coach right now and you make your money through coaching. You might assume, well, to make the 100 grand, I have to have 100 clients and it's overwhelming and I don't know what to do about this. But if you separate your working day to the amount of money that you make, then these things will manifest separately and they don't have to be linked together. Because when you make one goal link to another, you are creating confusion in your manifestations and you're actually delaying your manifestations from coming. Say, for example, you start visualizing that you have achieved that 100 grand and then you start forming a picture of, well, that meant I had to have 100 clients. And then you have linked the amount of work you do with the amount of money you make, and you want to separate these two goals. They are two separate goals and they don't need to be linked together. So you do one visualization which is just about the money and maybe what you spent the money on. That money can come from anywhere. It can come from a passive business. You could even win the money. You could be gifted the money. That money didn't even have to come from your business. That can be totally separate. So that is one manifestation. And then a separate manifestation is how many hours you want to work a week. So for example, you could work 40 hours a week at the moment, but you might want to change that so that you only work 20 hours a week. So you have a manifestation for halving your working hours. And if you bring both of these into your reality, both the halving the working hours and creating the money, they will not be linked together. You do not need to work harder than you already have, work longer hours to make more money. They don't have to be linked together. So completely separate these in your mind. You can also have another rule that separates how you make your money. Whether that's I make most of my money through my coaching, or I make most of my money through my courses or through my membership. It's completely up to you to decide how you make your money. You could say, I make most of my money through winning the lottery and I just do my business for a hobby. It's totally up to you. It's your life. You get to make the rules. You get to decide. And speaking of clubs, we are actually going through this whole process on using collapsing time to achieve goals. We are focusing one whole month on a challenge where we are going to dive much deeper into this together. So I would love to encourage you to come and join us at kathkyle.com/club, and you can come and join us for free. And I also give you lots of other bonuses, including my reality creation journal, my reality creation guide, and my course that walks you through how to create your own reality. And don't forget about my free guide to creating reverse memories. You can go and grab that as well. So I would love to know what you think about collapsing time. Have you ever used this technique yourself? Will you use it in the future? Let me know what your results are. I would love to know. So I would also love it if you would like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And now it's your turn to go and put your stamp on the world.